Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bridgewater Conservation Commission. It is January 12th, and the time is 5:31. We have a quorum, so we're going to open the meeting at 5:31. For the record, the members and staff present, we have Harry Bailey, member, Eileen Prisco, member, Sarah Sperber, member, the Steve Sobel, the environmental planner, Nicole Salvo, the executive assistant, and myself, Wendy Smith, the chair. I'll now read the governor's order for online meetings into the record. Disclosure pursuant to section 20 of chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. This meeting of the Conservation Commission for the town of Bridgewater will be hybrid and accessible to the public through remote participation to the greatest extent possible. There will be no public attendance permitted. Citizens who wish to tune into the meeting may do so via Zoom. The Zoom link and the phone number are listed on the public meeting notice and agenda on the Bridgewater Town's website. On the agenda tonight, we have new business, public hearings, 3 notices of intent. One is for off Auburn Street. Another notice of intent for off Auburn Street, a notice of intent for 80 Nelson Drive. We have old business, notice of intent for 6 Aldrich Road. And then Conservation Commission business. We have administrative items and discussion items. So first, we have under new business, we have the notice of intent for off Auburn. It's map 79, portions of lots 1, 2, 4, and 18. The applicant representative is Antonio Alves, Gallagher Engineering. The DE file number is SE116. I do have the Nicole, we have green cards for that, yes?
Yes, they're in office.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay.
yes, you do, and I believe you have the legal ads.
Yeah, I have the legal ads. Okay, so for the first one, the notice of public hearing, Conservation Commission, Bridgewater, Massachusetts. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Bridgewater Local Wetland Bylaw, Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, January 12th, 2023, held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. The link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewatermassma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing is for a notice of intent filed by Antonio Alves, Pilar LLC. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family dwelling, septic system, driveway, and utilities. The property is owned by Pilar LLC and is located at Auburn Street, Form A, Lot 4, Bridgewater, Mass, map 79, being a portion of lots 1, 2, 4, and 18. Please contact the Bridgewater Conservation Office at 508-697-0950 for the hearing date and time. All interested persons are encouraged to attend. Notices published in the Boston Herald on January 5th, 2023. So I would ask at this point if there's a representative or applicant for the project present.
That's me, Frank Gallagher, Gallagher Engineering in Foxborough.
Thank you.
Yep. Do you want me to begin?
Yeah, sure. Yep, please.
Okay. So the plan that you have, that I'm seeing on my screen is Form A, Lot 3. So just so you know. And so anyway, what it is it's a Form A lot that's fronts on Auburn Street. It's on the south side of Auburn. And if you look, what you'll see is kind of a long driveway that comes off the street and goes south, curls a little bit toward the east, southeast, And then there's a house and septic system that's tucked into the southwest corner of this lot. The 25-foot buffer zone you see is that blue line. The 50 is the orange line, and the 100-foot buffer zone is the red line.
Mhm.
So as we enter the site, we're actually, the driveway's outside of the buffer. But then we come into the 100-foot buffer as we head south. We stay outside of the 50-foot buffer, at least in the area where we have wetland flag 102, 103. And then as the driveway kind of heads to the southeast, we start to get a little bit more in the buffer zone. And at a point where we're close to the 25-foot buffer. Now we have erosion control shown on both sides of the driveway, actually. In fact, all of the work that we're proposing is essentially completely surrounded by erosion control barriers. As I say, you know, the septic system is outside the buffer. The house and the driveway are within the wetland buffer, but what we're looking at here is basically just a buffer zone project where we're not violating the 25-foot buffer to the wetland. So it's just a straight buffer zone job for a single-family house with an on-site septic system. The wetland line, just to make one more point, is currently a valid line. This was originally part of a bigger project that you may be aware of that was a solar field. And that solar field has been well, it's been kind of a long-running thing, but at this point, it did receive a order of conditions from your commission. That order of conditions has been extended, so it's currently in effect, and that tolls over the wetland line. So just so you realize, we're dealing with a wetland line that's currently still approved by the commission. So I guess that's all I'll say, and if there are questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
Recording in
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Steve, would you like to comment on this?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm gonna just reiterate everything Frank covered. As far as this proposal is concerned, Frank covered everything pretty much that needs to be covered in reference to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Bridgewater local bylaw. Yeah, I was a bit deceived at first when I first looked at this plan because I thought the blue line was actually the wetland edge, and then I looked at the legend and was able to differentiate because it looked a lot worse than with that being the wetland edge, but then looking closer, determined that was a 25-foot buffer. So that clarified this a lot for me. To me, this is a very straightforward buffer zone only project. Yes, the project driveway does get very close to the 25-foot no touch, which is in effect due to the Bridgewater local wetlands bylaw. In regards to that, I know that silt fence and erosion control is highly effective, especially in areas where the slope is very gradual, which is what we have on the site. Most of the site grading is associated with that southwest corner. Ultimately, when we look at this lot, it's just a very difficult lot because there's not an abundance of available upland to build on without incurring into the buffer zone. So there's not really much to be said from a regulatory standpoint on this one. And with that being said, I'm going to suggest that the commission issue an order of conditions with no special conditions. But I also know that there are abutters that may have questions.
Thank you, Steve. How about members of the commission? Does anyone want to comment or question concerns that they'd like to share?
I don't at this time.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.
I'm all
Eileen?
set.
Harry, you're all
No,
set?
I'm good.
Yep.
Okay. I would just say, I can't see from here. I looked at the plans earlier in the office. And I think that this might have been one that we talked about the silt fence. Like, I can't see it on my computer screen real good, like where it goes, but Steve and I had just kind of maybe talked about, would it be possible? I think it's this one. Is it this one, Steve? Where the silt fence would run along the 25 and then cross to the 50 and go straight up to Auburn Street?
Yes, and I think that was a good line of thought until Frank mentioned that he's going to be putting silt fence directly on either side of the proposed driveway. So that
Oh.
covers what we were talking about earlier. It's actually over and above what we were actually talking
More
about.
than we were gonna say. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. So we just, for the public, if you're in the room and you would like to speak, you can either wave at Steve or you can, raise your hand with the raise your hand option or put something in the chat.
We do have a butter who would like to comment, Mr. Chase.
Okay. Mr. Chase, can you just state your name, address?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
Thank you. My name is
Mhm.
Fred Chase. I'm in a butter. I reside at 60 Old Farm Road. You may be aware I'm also president of the Bridgewater Town Council, but I am specifically addressing you tonight as an abutter to this proposed project. My concern is simply one quite simple matter. The notice of intent for each of the parcels makes reference to the original order of conditions that had been issued by the commission in 2018 and extended in 2021 at the request of the then applicant. I think, as Mr. Gallagher has indicated, it remains in effect until 2024. I understand that you will be likely issuing a new order of conditions relative to the specifics of this particular project. And for that reason, I would like to call your attention to one element of the initial order of conditions, again, originally from 2018. And that provides a prohibition against the cutting of trees. Now, it so happens that on Lot 4, there is a stand of mature shade trees. And that grouping of trees is specifically why in 2018, the commission had allowed the prohibition against cutting of trees on the site. And I realized that for delineation purposes, the 2018 order remains in effect. To the extent that a new order of conditions will be issued, I would like the prohibition against the cutting of trees on the site to be included once again. I think it was a valid addition to the order in 2018. It remains perfectly valid now. The particular stand of trees to which I refer, there are something in the order of 6 to 8 trees in number. They are notable because they are mature shade trees. They are not scrub pine or other shrub-like coniferous trees that tend to populate that area. So they're very notable. They certainly stand out. They are in height, close to the height of the top of the utility lines. So they're quite large. They can't be missed. And that was the reason for which the prohibition had been entered by the commission. And I would like some assurance that in fact, that prohibition would continue in force.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Can you answer as to where along the plan, if you can see the plan, where those specific trees, if they're together, like whereabouts would they lie?
They are together and all within really a very small area of Lot 4. I can say it's Lot 4 definitely because it is directly due east of my house in a direct line of sight. And so I know that it appears within Lot 4. I don't believe, and Mr. Gallagher may have more information, but I don't believe that it is very close to the proposed site. I'm looking at the plan on my screen now that you've projected that shows the house and the garage. And I don't believe that those trees are close to that proposed location, which gives me some hope that in fact they would remain in place, but not knowing to what extent the area would be cleared beyond the area of the house and the garage. That I don't know by this plan.
Okay, so those
Um,
trees are located in that southeast area then, near the house and the garage, but off.
Right, so this is a better, what I'm looking at now, what you're showing is a little better. It shows the former cranberry
Cranberry
bog.
bog. Mhm.
And I can see that the proposed site for the house and the garage are at the upper, the northwesternmost corner of that area that's outlined in green. And I believe, based upon this, that the area of trees I'm referring to is to the east of that location. Again, Mr. Gallagher may have a recollection as to exactly where they are, but they're quite prominent. They really can't be missed because they stand out in contrast to the lowland contour of the area otherwise.
Yeah, just a point. What's up, what I'm seeing right now is the other lot.
Yeah,
This isn't the lot that we're dealing with currently. This is the next hearing.
Mhm.
So, but, you know, as I know it, we would not disturb any of those trees. It's a little tough to pick up on the plan, but if you look, if we go back to the plan that we're currently
Previous one.
dealing with, yeah, you'd have to zoom up a little bit, but if you look closely, what you'll see on the on both sides of the driveway, but particularly the east side of the driveway, you'll see a line and periodically the letters ECB. That's the erosion control barrier,
I see, okay.
and that represents the limit of the work. So you can see that it's quite narrow for most of the area that's coming off of Auburn Street. And I guess that those trees, I think, are predominantly within the wetland areas. So I can tell you for certain that we would not be, the work we're proposing would not disturb any of those existing trees.
Okay,
I see. Well, I
Thank
thank
you.
you very much for that
Mhm.
clarification. And
Mhm.
so it appears to me then, based on your comments and seeing this map, it appears to me that the gray area, which is the driveway and the actual locus of the house,
Mhm.
is really the extent of area that you would anticipate the need for clearing. Is that right?
That is right, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
all right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chase, for your comments, and Mr. Gallagher for your clarity. And I have to say, I apologize. I read the public hearing notices. I read top, thinking top was first to bottom, and I didn't read the lot 3 one. So, and our meeting thing had lots 1, 2, 4, 18. So I was a little bit confused by it. But so this
Mhm.
one is lot 3 that we're talking about right now. That's on the top, correct? The next one
This
that we're
one
talking
is- Yes, correct. Form A Lot 3 is the one we're looking at right now.
looking at. Okay, I
Mhm.
got you. All right, thank you. I just have to ask
Mhm.
Nicole, can you let Eileen back in the meeting? She got bumped out and is trying to get back in.
I don't
He's
see
not
him.
in the
What-
waiting room, so
Yeah,
She's not?
No, I would
still-
gladly let her in, but she's not in the waiting room.
Oh. All right.
We, we still have a quorum, so you guys are. you
Yeah, we
guys are
do. All right.
set.
So if there's nothing else, this one, I like I can see the silt fence, for erosion control. So
Hello?
that is a lot better. Hi, we hear
Can
you.
you? Okay, all right,
Yeah.
it was muted. Okay,
Yeah.
I was just
Oh,
muted.
okay. Yep, you're back in.
I was listening.
Oh, all right, sorry.
all right.
So with everybody sharing, and it sounds like we might be ready to issue an order of conditions. Does somebody want to make a motion for that? This is lot 3,
This is
maps,
Lot 3?
map 79, lot 3.
Oh, okay. Should we, put something in there for a special condition about those trees or no, Steve?
If I were to make a suggestion on.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Those
sorry.
trees, what I would recommend in order to protect the interests of both parties is if Mr. Chase wants to go out with staff to identify those trees and flag them to ensure that they do in fact stand through, the project, we can assuredly do that, and we can write that in as a special condition for sure. And Mr. Gallagher,
Okay.
as long as you agree to that I, go out to the field and flag these trees with Mr. Chase so that he can, visually see where they're at, visually see where the work's going. And that way it's just, it appeases both sides.
Yeah, we'd be happy to agree to that.
Thank you.
So I
That'd be
will make a
comfortable with me as
motion.
well.
Oh, good. Okay, so I will make a motion to approve an order of conditions with the one special condition about those trees, language to be determined, I guess.
Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
need to, can I
Okay.
clarify that though? So those trees were listed, where he's talking about is in lot 4, which is it's a next project. So it's not really this one. But I still think that we need to do that. But that would come in when we talk about the map 79 lot 4, which is the
Okay.
next one. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So we
then
just
I'm
need
making a
that, we
motion.
just need to issue the order of condition for this.
No specials. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve Lot 3 order of conditions, no special additions.
Second,
Thank you. And roll call vote, Eileen Prisco,
Aye.
Harry Bailey,
aye.
Sarah Sperber,
Aye.
and myself, Wendy Smith. Aye. Thank you. So, Mr. Gallagher, we're all set with the map 79 lot 3.
Okay, thank you all
All right.
very much.
You're welcome. So now we're going to move on to the notice of intent for off Auburn Street, map 79, portion of lot 4. Applicant representative Antonio Alves, Gallagher Engineering, DEP file number SE116. We do have the green cards for that. They came in, and do I need to read this? The
Yes,
public hearing notice? Okay.
yes.
Unfortunately, I'm going to read the same one because I kind of didn't do it right before, but notice of public hearing, Conservation Commission, Bridgewater, Massachusetts. In accordance with Massachusetts general laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater Local Wetland Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, January 12th, 2023, held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar of the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing is for a notice of intent filed by Antonia Alves Pilar LLC. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family dwelling, septic system, driveway, and utilities. The property is owned by Pilar LLC and is located at Auburn Street, Form A, Lot 4, Bridgewater, Mass, map 79. It's being a portion of lots 1, 2, 4, and 18. Please contact the Bridgewater Conservation Office at 508-697-0950 for the hearing date and time. All interested persons are encouraged to attend. Notices published in the Boston Herald on January 5th, 2023. So Mr. Gallagher, you're speaking on this.
Okay.
Would you like to just
Yes.
share? And we'll bring up
Sure.
the next picture.
Yes. Yes.
Plans.
So this is a retreat lot, which is permitted by special permit under the zoning bylaw. And it's about a 13-acre lot, 40 feet of frontage on Auburn Street, and then a long driveway that goes south, and then again breaks to the southeast. And the driveway here is actually about 1,000 feet long. The closest part of the work, at least to the wetland area, is really right up at Auburn Street. And then again, where the driveway takes a turn to the southeast, it comes in closest contact with the wetland area there. But in really in no case does it encroach beyond the 50-foot buffer. If you look closely at the frontage area, we have a 12-foot driveway, and it follows south, but it's beyond the 50. It falls within the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone, the first 300 feet of it. And then at about 300 feet, it actually breaks outside of the buffer zone. And then again, at about 650, it breaks back into the buffer. And you can see at about station 750, we're again coming close to the 50-foot buffer. We have a dimension on the plan at that point that shows it as 59 feet from the edge of the wetland. So so we're keeping the 25-foot buffer fully intact. We're really skirting the edge of the 50-foot buffer for some of this property. And then once you get onto the wider part of the lot, you have actually no buffer zone work. The house, the septic system, all the grading that's associated with that is outside of the commission's jurisdiction. Even with that, though, once again, what we've done is we've essentially surrounded all of the work with an erosion control barrier. So it basically is on both sides of that long driveway. And then when you get to the construction work and the excavation and all of the utilities that are associated with the house construction, even though it's outside of the 100-foot buffer, we have that same, if you can pick it up on the plan, that same line that's labeled ECB surrounding all of our work. There's the house, the driveway, the septic system, and the well that are all located outside of the buffer zone. And in this case, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of open space really that's associated with this lot that is probably going to remain as it is. You know, most of that, you can see that the limit of work and the construction is kind of tucked into one corner of this 13 acres, and the vast majority of it is not to be disturbed by the proposal that we're putting before you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Sobel, would you like to speak on this, please?
I will, yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, yeah, this project really boils down to the driveway and accessing this lot, because the house, the septic system, all the appurtenances associated with the single-family home are located outside jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So when we look at this driveway, we notice a couple areas, especially where that driveway takes a jog to the south and enters where the house is to be sited. It gets particularly close to the 50-foot buffer. Now, that's normally not a problem for this commission. This commission has approved projects in the past that have been right up to the 50-foot buffer, especially for necessary uses like driveways to access a home. However, the creation of this driveway creates a situation where there's another house located south of this lot that will suddenly have lost its access to the house. Now, based on zoning regulations, which I will preface that by saying this commission does not make decisions based on other regulations besides the Conservation Commission set forth regulations by the town and the state. But the creation of this driveway would essentially create an illegal lot next door with the necessity to create another driveway located to the west of this proposed driveway. So now when you look at the plan, you have to imagine that there's also going to be another driveway located closer to the wetlands than where the driveway is currently proposed. Now, I'm not going to get into whose responsibility it is. You know, if I don't know who Mr. Gallagher represents on this, he's clearly representing the person who owns this lot. The lot to the west is a separate lot. So therefore, it's a separate applicant. It's a separate landowner. And, you know, essentially they're maybe creating a situation for themselves. That being said, I visited the site, walked it. I know that this project could probably be done with very minimal effects on the performance standards of both the state and local wetland protection regulations and policies. I am not 100% sure about what would happen to a driveway proposed next to this one, which is effectively going to be a necessity. So what I would propose with that in mind, is that especially for the newer members that are not familiar with this site, being Wendy and Sarah, I would like to go out there with you guys and walk this site because you didn't, and even myself, I wasn't involved in the permitting for the solar farm, but I've gotten enough of a backstory on it and a regulation and regulatory history on it. But seeing this site and seeing how close this proposal is and seeing it on the ground may offer you a different opinion of it versus seeing it on paper. So my suggestion is that commissioners that want to go out and take a closer look at this in the field should definitely do that, knowing that this driveway is likely to be able to be completed with minimal impacts to negligible to zero impacts, but it creates the necessity of a driveway right next to it. So I would suggest a continuance at this time and for the commission to gather further information, potentially on a new driveway. I've been in discussions with Steve Solari, the building inspector and zoning enforcement officer. Again, we're not assuming the duties or responsibilities of any other board or commission. I just need to, you know, factor in anything that would be a result of a decision like this. So that's a decision that ultimately I don't know what to do with. So I want the commissioners to take an additional longer look at it.
Thank you.
I totally agree.
Okay, so Eileen, that's what, you agree with that?
Oh, God, yeah. I totally want to go look at it.
Mm-hmm. Harry? Comments?
I agree with it. I'm looking at a map. I've got all the lots on one map. I got it from the Registry of Deeds. In the future, I know this is in ours, but the driveway can be moved over into partial A. And then the other driveway can go in it. It says partial A is not a buildable lot in its present configuration. So there's plenty of room to remove the driveway, but I suggest we all go out together and look at it so you can understand what's going on.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Okay, Sarah. Yes, I would say that too. I mean, Mr. Gallagher, the plans look great and I have see no issue with your plans. I love the fact that you have, even though you didn't have to and it's outside your jurisdiction, you still put some kind of erosion control around the area where the house is being built, I believe. That's appreciated. I do think though that we need a little bit extra on this to be able to go see what we're up against when the next thing has to be done for the person to get back to their property.
Mhm. No,
So-
completely understood. And if I can help, assist, if you need someone out there on site, I could do my best to meet you out there also if you'd like.
Okay,
But yeah, no, we don't have any problem. The commission's, with what your feelings are on this.
okay. All right, thanks so much for your understanding. So do we have a motion on map 79, lot 4?
I will make a motion to continue, lot
26th.
479.
Second,
What meeting is the next meeting?
It'll be
that
the
we're gonna have?
26th, January 26th.
January 26th, to January 26th at 5:30 PM.
I
Thank you,
second that.
thank you. And a roll call vote, Sarah Sperber,
Aye.
Eileen Prisco,
Aye.
Harry Bailey,
Aye.
and myself, Wendy Smith, aye. All right, thank you, Mr. Gallagher.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you very much.
You're
Good
welcome.
night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have notice intent for 80 Nelson Drive, map 63, lot 88A. Applicant representative is Beth Nelson, Silva Engineering. DEP file number SE 116-1517. We got green cards. I saw them, have copies of them. And the public hearing notice, 80 Nelson Drive, Bridgewater. Legal notice of public hearing, Conservation Commission, Bridgewater, Massachusetts. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Bridgewater Local Wetland Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on January 12th, 2023, held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted on the calendar of the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing is for a notice of intent filed by Beth Nelson. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family house with driveway and associated grading within the buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. The property is owned by Beth Nelson and is located at 80 Nelson Drive, Bridgewater, MA, map 63, parcel 88A. Please contact the Bridgewater Conservation Office at 508-697-0950 for the hearing date and time. All interested persons are encouraged to attend. So do we have a representative that would like to speak on the project present?
Yes, Rebecca from Silver Engineering, present.
Hello. Hello, Rebecca.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Happy New Year.
So we have here in front of you a notice of intent for a single-family home on the end of Nelson Drive. We recently had a plan of land to give a little bit more land to account for, I think we're in a zone 2. That's why we did it. Okay, so we had sorry, I should have looked at this ahead of time. So we have a septic in the front. We have only work in the buffer, which would be the back of the house, the deck, and some grading to slope off the backyard a little bit. The 25-foot is actually off property, and as is the wetlands. Ken Thompson flagged the wetlands for us. It's pretty straightforward. We do have an erosion control at the 25-foot no touch. It's really straightforward, cut and dry, single family home, backyard.
Okay, thank you. Steve, do you want to speak on this?
You must be feeling better, Rebecca, than the last time
Oh,
we spoke.
Yeah,
on
what was wrong the last time? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yes, so this one is very straightforward, and me and Wendy looked this one over this afternoon. You may be asking why the, limit of work is being put directly at the 25-foot no touch zone in some of the spots. And we, this commission generally, if it's a wooded lot, will require people to put it back as far as possible. Well, it just so happens that this already exists as lawn, right down to that point. So you could see where the little ruffled lines are. That's where the tree line starts. So up until that point is already existing grass. So that fill, those grading lines, that fill will take up some of the lawn. I know Wendy has some thoughts about maybe some wording or some thoughts about fertilizer use or maybe the types of fertilizers. Suggestion wise, if a lawn is intended to go back in after the grading, or maybe they're gonna, I don't know, do a pool in the future, who knows? But at the end of the day, this is very straightforward, buffer zone only. And like I said, the limit of work would be further back if there was actually woods and other things in the way, but right now it's literally just a field.
Okay, thanks,
So-
Steve. Commissioners, anybody have any questions or comments, concerns?
No, I pretty much know the area. I know where the lot is. I think it's fine.
Okay.
Like you said, straight.
I'm all set.
Okay, Sarah?
No, makes sense to me.
Okay. My only thought, like Steve mentioned, was if it's at all possible that, you know, the homeowners, if they do put in grass and they're gonna do any fertilizer, that they just try to use something that's as much organic or natural with low nutrient levels. Just because the trees and everything are so close, with wetlands there, so. That was my only thought. I mean, we can't force anybody to do it, but, you know, if we could just ask them to be cognizant of what they're using in the backyard, that would be great. Other than that, I have no issue. And, are there any abutters that are in the room that want to speak? If you can raise your hand or wave at Mr. Solbo, he'll call on you.
I'm not seeing anybody interested.
Okay. All right, so with that, we have no other comments or anything. Does anyone want to make a motion to issue?
I guess I'll make the motion to issue a notice of intent for 80 Nelson Drive. No special condition about the fertilizer. Do you want to make a notation in there?
If we can put a notation in it, sure.
Yeah, I mean, we can always put a condition in that the board suggested to the applicant that if they could potentially use organic or
Okay.
natural fertilizers as a substitute versus traditional fertilizers. Again, it's not very enforceable, but at least it keeps the thought in their mind.
Yep.
Okay, somebody second?
I will second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Prisco,
Aye.
Sarah Sperber,
Aye.
and myself, Wendy Smith. Aye. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up on the agenda, we have old business. Notice of intent for 6 Aldrich Road, map 20, lot 77. Applicant representative is Alton Beach, Silva Engineering, DEP file number SE 116-1515. And we do have a request for a continuance. Dear commission members, Silva Engineering Associates would like to request a continuation from the January 12th meeting to the next meeting scheduled for February 9th. So it'll be a month away. This will allow Silva Engineering to address the comments received from the town engineer and provide revised plans prior to the hearing. If you have any questions or require any additional information, please contact me. Sincerely, Lawrence P. Silva, PE. So with that being said, do I have a motion to continue?
Motion to continue.
Perfect.
For 6 Aldrich Road?
Oh, for 6 Aldrich Road. Sorry.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Sarah Sperber,
Aye.
Eileen Prisco,
Aye.
Harry Bailey,
Aye.
and myself, Wendy Smith. Aye.
Can you just make sure, Sarah, that you say to the February 9th meeting? I'll make sure I put it in the minutes, just make that clear. Sorry.
Oh, right.
February 9th meeting, everybody.
Okay.
5:30 p.m.
Thank you.
5:30.
Rebecca needs more time to do work.
There you go. All right, so next up, we have Conservation Commission business. We do not have the meeting minutes, correct?
No,
Nicole?
ma'am, you do not. I was struck with an
Okay.
illness late
Yeah,
December,
no
so
worries. Glad you're
I figure
better.
I'll give you a break on this one and we'll get you going.
All right. Discussion items, environmental planner report. Steve, do you have anything?
Yep,
for us?
just a couple quick comments. Just a reminder, we did schedule a meeting for next Thursday at 5:30. So we will be meeting next week and the following. Next week, we'll only have one item. It will just be the Styles and Hart Improvement Project. The representative, who is the town of Bridgewater, will be on, as well as the consulting engineer, Patrick Brennan from PGP Engineering. And they're going to present the Styles and Hart upgrade to you guys, and hopefully, we're up against it time-wise for some grant situations coming up on Styles and Hart. So I'm hoping that you guys have had time. We have full sets of plans for everybody who wants to come by and pick them up, so they can view them in hard copy form. It's much easier to view. And so just take a good look at that stuff. It'll be Michael Dutton and Patrick Brennan next week, and then it'll be quick though, I imagine. But any questions, get them ready. I know that we managed to work out all of the wetland disturbance that was even potential and get it down to 0, so there will be no mitigation or need for mitigation. So we worked really hard on it. So I'm excited
Yeah,
for
great.
put it to the public, and then I'm excited to get everything moving on it so we can get the trails in there and get people out there enjoying it so they can park down there. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great.
Is
Nice.
this gonna be a Zoom meeting?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Okay, we'll need the numbers for it.
Yep, those will all be posted. They should actually be posted the agenda today.
Everything
so.
should have been sent
Be
to you
posted.
today, Harry. Feel free to double check, and if not, reach out to me. I'll get it over to you.
Okay,
And then the only other thing is, if anyone happens to be going down Pleasant Street anytime soon, if you take a look at 411 Pleasant, I told Harry this earlier because I know he's right in that area right now. There's an ongoing, I guess it's a newer family owns the home. They've been cutting a lot of trees. There happens to be 2 isolated wetlands in between Birch Street and Pleasant Street in that area. They are most likely vernal pools. And I have not been able to get the homeowner to answer the door yet. So next stop is flat out just issuing a letter to cease and desist and contact us.
Do you know
and
the
to-
name of the last name?
I haven't figured out who, because the sale was so recent, the assessor's database hasn't updated yet.
Okay.
So once I get that, that's what I'm looking for to, send that letter out. And yeah, this one's sort of egregious because there's some big trees that were taken down. And again, vernal pools in this town, even potential vernal pools have 100-foot no touch around them. So
Yep.
of all the resource areas, especially the ones protected by the town bylaw, that is the one that has the most protection. So this is, one of those ones where it's like, hopefully we can, mediate with the owner and get something out of it, because these ones, I hate to say it, sometimes they break down and you just end up getting nothing out of them. But
Okay.
we'll keep an eye on it. And like I said, you guys are always willing to go knock on a door, represent, notify.
No, we need our tags.
I got my own.
I know, I gotta talk to Mr. Dutton about that.
The
And we
fire
just,
department used to make them.
well, we make them in town hall now, but we
Okay,
just had just had the town council just had a bunch of shifting. So it's been a little crazy, even though it's been slow development wise. There's been a lot of moving parts. So I'm sure it's gonna be easy enough because you guys don't need like the fobs to get into the building or anything. You just need
Right,
identification.
just a picture.
Right,
Mhm.
so again, I totally agree with you guys, because I would not even enter on anyone's property without my identification. I don't,
Mhm.
Not a good idea.
and I don't want to get shot, and that's not just against Bridgewater,
Yeah.
that's anywhere these days.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
So that's all I've got for you guys tonight, and I'm excited for the meeting next week, and then it looks like we've only got a couple items for the meeting after that, so a couple short meetings in a row.
All right, sounds good.
I have to fly most to adjourn.
Okay. All right. Roll call, Harry,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
and myself, I. All right. Thanks, everybody,
Good
for
night.
being here.
Thank you.
Good night,
Right.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks,
See you
guys. Have a good
later.
night.
You too.